Welcome back to Swinging at Shins with myself and Woodsy, your Premier League podcast. Woodsy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm in a different location. I've been kicked out temporarily for the normal location over there that I usually have. So I've relocated. This is an away game. I'm wearing an away kit, obviously. So I'll be back to my normal spot sooner rather than later.
I was going to ask you about that. You look like you got relegated to like the living room or something. It
Yeah,
is.
I'm in the living room. Yeah. I'll give you a quick little tour. It's just front window. We got the
Oh, very nice.
TV on. Got the
Pupper.
three-legged one near me. One over there. Little one
Oh,
over
yeah.
there. There's
I,
another one somewhere. I don't know where the heck she is. She just got back
is
today. So
is your wife
um,
doing Pampered Chef? Is that why you got kicked out?
no, I'm the chef. No, I don't. No offense to her, but she can't cook.
Well,
She knows it. She knows it. She's
It,
probably listening in the other room right now, swearing at me, which is probably totally
look,
acceptable.
everybody's with somebody who can cook. It doesn't. I, it's irregular for two people to be cooking well, and it's usually somebody who pairs themselves with a cook, who
and
can cook. So then you're like, I'm not saying you become dependent on that person because that's a disgusting thought to think of because you don't want to be that way. But anyway, that's a whole different. That's like some Maury talk right there, and I don't want to get into that.
we
I'd
got
rather
some.
get into the Premier League.
I'm making breakfast for dinner later. If you're interested,
Ooh.
we're having bacon, egg, and cheese.
Look,
So
if you didn't live all the way up in Boston Lake, I would swing by. But
I'm in the middle
for
of
bacon, egg,
it.
and cheese, I'm going to just stop at Stewart's. So,
Oh, mine better than that, man. Mine is
well,
way
of
better than
course it
that.
is. I'm
I'll
not
send you
saying
a
that.
picture later. You can post it. I'll send you a picture
Okay,
later.
please. All right, let's jump into match day 11. We'll do quick scores here. I do want to say right off the gate, I posted wrong predictions for Woodsy and Rhett. I flip-flopped them. My bad. I meant
You
to
just wanted
check.
to catch up for last week. You just wanted
I
to catch
did. I
up for
just didn't
last
see.
week.
Yeah, well, match day 10, I only was able to get like 5 matches in because I didn't post anything for the Saturday matches and I wasn't about to cheat. So I said, okay, I'll do Sunday's matches. Match day 11, however, didn't matter because it was a crapshoot no matter what. And we'll start with Fulham and Manchester United. Manchester United won 1-0. Brentford won 3-2 at home against West Ham. Burnley lost 2-0 against Crystal Palace. Everton drew 1-1 against Brighton. Who saw that coming? That wasn't on my bingo sheet.
Seriously.
Manchester City put up a 6th spot against Bournemouth, but we kind of saw that coming. Sheffield United get their first win, and they beat Wolves at home 2-1. And Newcastle beats
Controversial.
Arsenal. Yeah, the Sheffield United match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a dog.
this is going to be the running theme. Is going to be a controversial theme party. Newcastle won at home against Arsenal 1-0, also embedded with controversy. Forest won at home against Villa 2-0. Didn't see that coming. That's disappointing as a Villa fan, and very, I'll get into it in the Villa with Brian, but Forest put up a good fight, obviously, because they won. Luton Town also put up a good fight, drawing against Liverpool, and I'm sure you're not very happy about that with your head shaking. 1-1. However, it was kind of storybook that they drew with Luis Diaz scoring that goal. So there's that.
I've got my opinion on that game, and a lot of it is not good, both for Liverpool and for Luton. Mainly their supporters, and I'll get into that later for sure.
Yeah. And to wrap up the festivities and the fireworks of this controversial match week, Spurs lost 4-1. A 9-man Spurs team lost against a full squad Chelsea team. It was, and when I say that it was a mostly controversial week, I'm not kidding. It was that I'm being very light about that word controversial. I think we should dive because I unfortunately didn't catch all the matches. I missed out on the Sheffield United one. So, do you want to walk into that one for a moment?
Yeah, whatever one you want to start with. I'm ready with whatever.
Let's rip into the Sheffield United one just because the next two are going to be long-winded, guys. it's today's theme, VAR. We're not happy.
Yeah, it's the Sheffield United game. I mean, I was kind of paying a little bit of attention to that at home. I had a little extra time to catch the end of that game, so I caught about the last 15 minutes of that match, and it was I mean, it was all Wolves. Wolves were the team that were putting the pressure on. They were the team that was going forward. They were the team trying to get that second goal after they got their first one. Sheffield United, man, so lucky. It's a clear dive. The penalty laid on, it's a clear dive. I mean, he's going down before the contact even is close to being initiated. Is there contact afterwards? Yes, but I mean the players is nearly horizontal to the ground by the time the contact is made. So I see this as a lucky one for this is the one win they're probably going to get for quite a bit. I think Sheffield United have some pretty difficult games coming down the stretch there to at least the end of the year here in 2023. But man, they are so lucky, and Wolves get shafted again. They get shafted every single week, it feels like. And you got to think Gary O'Reilly's got to know. There's got to be something that's told to him after a match like this. Like you can't basically you can't keep going to the same guy every week and saying, "Hey, yeah, we're sorry. See you later. Bye." Because that's basically what the Prem is doing, the PGMOL.
I see what you're saying.
I've had some information get passed along to me today about the PGMOL and about the Referees Association and the FA. I can definitely get into that later because that is I don't even know if I've told you this yet. So I'll definitely maybe I'll break something later. Who knows?
But sounds like we should have a breaking news banner.
Yeah, I know, right? I'll do it now. I'll do it now. You just gave it to me. So.
Breaking news. Woodsy has breaking news, everybody.
And we're back. Yeah. No. So yeah, I've been getting some stuff sent my way, and it looks like as though a few times already this year, the Referees Association or the FA, I'm not quite sure which one, but I can tell you that there have been phone calls from the higher ups there to the TV news networks, so Sky and the ones that basically have a good in with the Prem. Yeah. Basically, what's going on is they're trying to get their narrative off the referees. So what they're doing is they're calling in, they're telling these guys, "Hey, remember who's paying you?" And it's the Premier League at this point. So Richard Keys has said it. Keith Hackett, who used to be the head of the PGMOL, confirmed it. So I mean, it's basically what it's telling you is that there is dead corruption in the Premier League with the referees, with them pushing their own narratives while also pushing the crap product on the pitch. So take for what you will. But I don't like Richard Keys. I actually absolutely despise him. But for him to come out with it, for Keith Hackett to come out with it, and for the other sources that have come out to confirm it, it's pretty astounding that it's come to this, and it is what it is. I mean, we had to have figured this, right?
So in that statement, I want to say personally that I don't want to believe in corruption and everything because I watch the sport. I love the sport, so I don't want I'm not saying I'm going to put blinders on as well. And I think that them coming down and telling commentators, "Hey, let's ease up off on the refs here." I think it's because it's becoming too easy at this point. Like even the Premier League's like, we need to talk about something other than the refs at this point. And it's always, and I understand that they're shrouding themselves in controversy every week as well. and they have to manage a match. But it's also coming to the point where everything that is a foul is getting looked at by VAR, and it's tainting the flow of the game and the love of the game here, and it almost feels like, at least personally for me, I'm losing a little bit of interest, and I'm not saying I'm gonna stop doing this either. I'm gonna keep watching the Premier League. I love soccer. It doesn't matter, but they're starting to lose the product with having the light always shined on. Anyway, on the PGMOL and the refs and VAR, and it's just getting to be the same narrative every week, day in, day out, that it's always the refs' fault. And it it's not always the refs' fault either. Like, the players are the ones on the pitch that are, out there playing the game, playing the match as well, and they're the ones committing the foul, and somebody has to be out there to say what's right and what's wrong. So they're gonna it's gonna be a noticeable thing when refs get things wrong. I it's just tough. It's really tough for them right now, and tough is the only good word that I have for it. For the Premier League themselves, it's tough, and it's even worse for
I
the
disagree.
PGMOL.
I think it's the easiest thing the Premier League can do is hire the correct refs, which are all throughout Europe. And it's they have such a standard that they want to set, but they hire. It's like you're trying to hire somebody for your job, for a job opening that you have, and you want the best people possible. You want somebody that's qualified. You want somebody that has experience. And what they keep doing is they keep promoting from within, but these guys aren't getting the correct learning throughout this process, so that by the time they get to that highest level, they have everything in front of them that they need. Basically, what they're doing is saying, all right, this is what we need, this is what we want, this is how it's going to stay. But all the other guys that are also interviewing for this job are well off, well better qualified. I actually have the confirmation right here from Keith Hackett, former head of the PGMOL. So Richard Keys had it was a blog or an article that he wrote called every effing week, and it was about the refereeing in the Premier League. So Keith wrote, I was not in agreement with Richard Keys. I was aware of the two people receiving a phone call and instructed to tie the line and to quieten down in the criticism of match officials. The standard is woeful, both in the middle and the VAR room at Stockley Park. The summary of the Newcastle United game is spot on. Anyone involved in football saw the push, and at that point, the goal should have been easily ruled out. He says, bloody hell, where common sense disappeared to in our officials? Where's Howard Webb? He needs to sort this mess out. So that's Keith Hackett. What I think he's trying to say here too is that it's not necessarily the PGMOL that are corrupt. I think he's trying to say that it's from higher up, which would lead me back to the Premier League. So I mean that's kind of where I'm seeing what he's trying to write. And he's had multiple instances that he's been confirming on here as well. There it is right there. Well, we might as well go into the Fulham Arsenal.
I was going to say you kind of led into it, so
it's as clear as day.
I mean, two hands up in the air, on the back of the head, on the back of the neck there, and this was not deemed a foul for people who, for the viewers. For the listeners, realistically, not the viewers, because they can definitely see this. It's Joe Linton on the back of Saliba.
It's Gabriel.
Gabby? No, it's Big Gabby. And he is pretty much trying to push him out of the way to get advantage towards the ball. And this header would eventually lead to Anthony Gordon scoring just pretty much a tap-in shot at this point. I understand the fact before this, leading up, was the VAR check on the ball that went out of play or not out of play. I believe that one was a correct decision. It is very unfortunate for a viewer to not be able to see that their goal line or byline technology isn't involved in this. And I don't know why, because World Cup has it. Why can't the EPL have it? What extra millions of dollars do they have to spend in order to get this? And it would have been sorted out immediately. Then there was this push that led up to the Gordon goal, which was also a VAR check for offsides. I understand that the offsides, that they couldn't see it. They couldn't make heads or tails. They didn't have a good angle. Fine. It's not clear and obvious. And that at that VAR check, it should have stood. This right here is clear and obvious. This is a foul.
It's as clear and obvious as clear and obvious gets. The fact that this was missed, I mean, they had images, I mean, if not as good, better than this. And this is a damn good image that shows you everything.
There's 30 cameras. How do they miss this?
Yeah, it's bad. The funniest part is they even tried using the camera in the goal, and they still couldn't somehow. And that one's even closer than this image we're seeing here. So I don't know what exactly they're doing. I again, look where the money's going. Look where the money is going. I've been saying it for years now. The money is going to tell you where the calls are going to go, who the calls are going to benefit. You don't see any of these with Manchester City. And when you do, they're already up 3-4-5-0 or something like that. Because that's when it's a useful time. Oh, we can throw this in now if something has to go wrong. And that's what I think is happening. I think there is a clear and concise unit behind the scenes that knows exactly what they're doing, knows where their money is coming from. So it doesn't surprise me that now Newcastle are getting these calls. Because if you look back 2 years ago, they weren't getting any of these calls. They were not.
It's hard to not follow that logic. I totally can see that because Man City's owned by a state. Newcastle. Which,
by the way, the referee in this game, the VAR, I believe, in this game, and the referee in the Tottenham Chelsea game last night is an employee, is an employee of the country right there, Newcastle United.
Did not know that.
Technically, he's on the books. He's on the books.
Yeah.
He's refereed in their country already 4 times this year.
This is a difficult. I don't know. It's getting painful, and I'm just tired of it. I'm just so tired of having to talk about VAR, talking about the PGMOL, and I want to talk about soccer, but here we are every gosh darn week talking about these controversial calls that, honestly, I think an actual line judge would have called this. But no, because we have to concede everything to VAR and make them check it. And this is where it kind of leads into the Chelsea one. I won't hop into that just yet, but it makes every ref second guess every decision that they are trying to make. And not only makes it second guess it, but they're using VAR as a crutch now. This is exactly what Pandora's box they were talking about when this was first initially introduced. And this weekend entirely was exactly Pandora's box and her teeth being shown. And it's kind of it's disrespectful to the game. It's disrespectful to the players. It's disrespectful to the fans. And I'm just so tired of having to deal with these controversies every effing week.
Yep. And I would even add, it's you can definitely see teams and groups of fans that are that are realizing there's something going on that's darker behind the scenes. Dortmund held up a sign today against Newcastle, basically about sports washing and about the reason why they're in this Newcastle, and it's money. It's all about money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The only reason why you're seeing these countries in this sport, Man City, Newcastle, Chelsea for what they were, who knows what they are now. I mean, technically they are owned by Saudi Arabia. You look at these entities, and it's not about the sport. It's never been about the sport. It never will be about the sport. It's about the money. How can they get richer when they're already worth 250 billion, 300 billion? So it's all about the dollar. And you're going to notice over the next couple of years, when you see, wait till you see how much money Newcastle is probably going to spend this coming summer, having already. And think of it this way: they're already paying for a guy who's going to be out until October next year. So, they haven't really made a lot of good signings when you really think about it, but they've spent quite a bit. It's the third most amount of money spent in the Premier League since they've been taken over. Is Newcastle. Only Chelsea and Man United have spent more. And by the way, when they took over, they were 19th in the table. They were nearly dead last. So it's going to start coming to light. A lot of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. It has to. Somebody's gonna break something, and there's gonna end up being a whistleblower moment. And that's just how it's going to end up. And I feel bad for a lot of the fans that are following teams that aren't going through these routes of sports washing and cheating, and that are actually trying to enjoy the sport, that have a team that do it the right way, and are getting shit on. They're getting shit on by these teams, by these people here. And I don't want to blame some of the players too, but some of the players are to blame for accepting the money from them. And you look at Man City over the years, and you look at what Newcastle's doing now, and I don't really necessarily see the connection between the fans and the players that you do from a team like that, where you get from a team like Sheffield United, for instance. I think there's more of a connection between the players and the fans there than there is, and that there ever will be in a situation like this, because these fans are going to cheer, right? Yep. These fans are going to cheer. They're cheering for their team. They're not cheering for the players. They're not cheering for the owners. They're not cheering for the standards in which their ownership sets. They're not cheering for anything revolving around the club. The only thing they want is winning. Okay? And that's what the fans are going to root for. They're not going to really care about everything else going under the radar, everything else going on behind the scenes. It's not going to be that way. And that's why there should be something put in place to avoid countries taking over football squads, and it goes back to Qatar too with PSG. You name it. There's a reason not to have them in the sport. So many reasons. So I'll leave it at that one there. I don't really want to have to deal with because I guarantee it. I'm gonna look at my crystal ball here real quick. 5 years from now, watch how many Newcastle fans pop up.
5? You're giving 5? I'm
Just
giving
watch.
3.
I give it 5 years. It took City's guys 4. It took them 4 years to really start popping up. 2008, there wasn't very many. I met my first. I'll be honest. I met my first City fan in high school, and that was 2010. So I met my first.
Well, it's because they were getting airtime at that point too.
That's true. But yeah, I give it 5 years. Give it 5 years and watch what happens.
So the funny part about this whole game is that this wasn't even the worst that happened in this match. In fact, I have a better one. It's this one that I would like to see. Wish it would show it. For some reason, it's not. Give me 2 seconds.
I can act it out.
No, yeah, that's actually exactly. Hold on, and then I'll lean my head over.
Yeah, ready?
Yeah. Anyway, let's share the screen. It's this one. Right there.
Yeah.
Do you see it, everybody? And for the listeners, it's at the 47th minute, and Bruno Guimaraes he was a very fiery boy today in this match. He came up behind Jorginho after Jorginho had passed the ball, released the ball to the midfield, and he had come across Jorginho's head with his forearm in the back of the head. Bruno did. And there was a VAR check, and it was cleared and deemed to be fine. And I don't know how that freaking happens.
It's the clearest red card. It's probably the easiest red card call that could have been made all season. You can easily argue that.
Yes, this was probably worse than Rodri putting his hand to the throat of Morgan Gibbs-White.
Oh, I think it is. I think there's clearly more intent here than I think there was in that.
At least with Rodri. Hold on. At least with Rodri, his was, both of them were fired up, and it was a pushing contest. Bruno deliberately took his forearm and struck the back of the head of Jorginho, and Jorginho had no clue clearly what was going on in this from this picture, that he was going to get hit in the head. He was unprepared. He was pretty much not cold cock, but he was blindsided by this.
Pretty much.
And it was no call. Let it play on. Bruno did not get a yellow card, and the fact that he complained about his yellow card until like the 64th or 5th minute.
Yeah.
And there was 3 more fouls that were even worse, because then he got into a pushing match later with Declan Rice. Did not get a yellow card. He stiff-armed, I can't remember who it was, in the chest, which is fine. I don't have a problem with the stiff arm. And he got a call for the foul with that. And it probably still isn't a yellow personally. The pushing and this both either should have been yellows, and he should have been gone. As it was, he stayed on the pitch until he got subbed off anyway. But this could have changed the whole complexion of the match if this was deemed a red.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And I don't know how so many calls are. I don't know. It's got to be deliberate at this point, right? It has to be. It has to be a deliberate act by someone to not give certain calls to certain teams. Kovacic. It was not even, what was it, 2 weeks ago? The Kovacic. Twice. They gave him 2 opportunities.
Break, yeah.
They gave him 2 opportunities to get that one right. Twice. Yeah. And they screwed that one up. Who's that benefit?
I think we can clearly see who that benefited. Yeah.
Yeah. It's becoming a joke. It's absolutely becoming a joke. And you look at the team, who are probably the two teams this year that would probably be a threat to Man City?
Personally,
Arsenal and Liverpool. Yeah. Who are the teams that have been hurt the most by VAR this year?
At least Arsenal and a little shade of Liverpool.
I mean, Liverpool literally got docked 3 points. There's a table that Dale Johnson put out 3 weeks ago that said Liverpool would be top of the table if VAR didn't intervene in certain instances. And he went through all the instances and basically said that the correct call was not made on the majority of Liverpool ones. VAR screwed up. And Liverpool are basically down. They were down 3 points. I mean, I'm talking the Spurs game. They should be up. They should have 3 points from that one. But I mean, this is becoming the corruption episode, and I know it's going to look like that. But I mean, I'd rather call it out and say what it is than back the sports washing entities that are taking over the sport. So
it's definitely it's poor. It's pitiful, and this is another reason why I think a lot of those, I can't remember who it was that you had stated, wanted the commentators to back off on the refs, is because they're getting so much backlash from everywhere else that we already know that this is happening, and that they're going to try, air quotes, to fix the problem, even though they can't fix the problem because the damage is already done. Now, if I take all of this out, I'm going to sort out all the VAR stuff and all. all the rest of the stuff here, controversies and wise. This was a great match. This Arsenal Newcastle match, this was a very great match. And if you're a fan of someone of like a physical match, this was a very physical match. And Arsenal stood up to Newcastle being physical, and they both matched each other on that. And nobody really was going to give an inch edgewise. I think that at the end of this match, it probably was going to end 0-0. Like, if nobody really could break each other's stride in this, and it was a fantastic match. So
I would say, quick before we move on to Tottenham Chelsea, I would say that the result that actually occurred was probably the least likely result if this game was officiated the correct way. I don't think Newcastle would have won that game, let alone 1-0.
That's also true, because realistically Bruno would have been out and then down to 10 men, and they would have had to sort themselves out from there.
It could have been 10-on-10 with Kai Havertz too. It could have been 10-on-10. He had a
true.
couple not only that big one, but a couple later too that I was just like, what are you doing? And
let's walk into that one real quick.
He played a full 90.
Let's walk into that one real quick. I saw, so when I first saw it at live speed, it looked it was very harsh, very hard. It was a very hard tackle. After looking at it in a slower spectrum on the replay, I still think they got the right call. I think it's definitely it's a strong yellow. And I think one of the commentators is like, the VAR official said it was like
an orange card.
It's kind of along those lines. It was like deemed to be a strong or yellow, and one of the commentators was like orange, so it's an orange card. Either that or that might have been the Chelsea match. I'm not entirely sure. I might be getting them too mixed up. But if you look at it, the follow through foot for Kai clips Matty Longstaff, Sean Longstaff, one of the brothers, clips him in the back of the foot, and I think that it was the big fall afterwards and the speed in which Kai went in that makes it look so much worse. When realistically, if all Matty had to do was take a step back and Kai slides right on by looking like a silly fool. And yes, obviously there's none of that could happen. And, he clips him. And it's a foul. I just think that Kai getting a yellow was a proper call. That at the end of the day.
I agree. I thought that was actually the correct one. And, but I still think the Bruno one was the game changer.
For sure. All right. So we couldn't get any more controversy in a match where, I just lost his name. Holy crap. Pochettino gets to go back to, a new Spurs stadium, because I don't think he had the new London stadium when he was a Spurs manager. Chelsea and wow, why am I Pochettino? I have lost his name twice because I want to call him Postecoglou, and it's not there. It's the other manager. But anyway, Pochettino have the last laugh, and they win 4-1 against Spurs. That game, also equally shrouded in controversy, had 3 VAR checks in the first half, and the stoppage time totaled 12 minutes. It was an incredible, because if you look at, again, this is one of those matches where it was a great spectacle to watch, and it was fun to watch if VAR didn't intervene so many times.
And, it's funny. I saw a stat today. There's 111 minutes played in that match. 48 minutes, the ball was on the pitch, though.
Yeah. Wow.
48 minutes out of a possible 110 had the ball on the pitch.
That's insane.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Which I think comes around to like 43% of the match was actually when the ball was in play.
Right.
That's astounding. I thought VAR, for the most part, redeem themselves later on. I can't believe I'm saying this, but by the 20th minute, 25th minute, whatever it was, Spurs should have been down to 9 men. Udogie's got that 2-footed tackle that's just freaking atrocious. It makes me want to almost like apologize to all the guys that got a red this year for when they put their foot on the Curtis Jones, Malagusto. You name the guys that have had their foot literally on the ball, and because the ball is round and that's how physics work, get a red card because they end up on a guy's ankle. This dude goes in 2-footed, like 2-footed, aerially comes in like he's some type of, like he's doing some karate move or something like that, WWE or whatever, and like clearly he could have ended someone's career, Sterling's career, whoever it was. That's a career-ending like tackle. That's what that is. I can't believe the amount of passes Spurs have been getting on red card challenges this year. So they think of it this way: they had at least 4 red card challenges in this game against Chelsea. Only 2. One of them was a straight red, the Romero one, which is deserved. I mean, he also could have had a red for kicking out nearly 3 minutes earlier. And then you look at throughout the game. I mean, all the rest of the Adogie's first one somehow got him a yellow. I don't understand that. That's just
doggy,
mind-boggling. The second one, I think that's more the softer one, but it's still a yellow. And the fact that they still had to actually review that, they still had to review that, like
because they don't know how to do this anymore. They're so dependent on VAR trying to make the right call to back themselves that they need. It's like a drug addict at this point. They can't get away from it. They don't know how to make the right calls anymore. And honestly, Undagi's 2-footed slide tackle, if he had caught more of, I think it was Enzo Fernandez or Caicedo, one of those two guys, it's definitely a red. He got extremely lucky that he got more of the ball than player, because that, I agree, should have could have been a red.
I don't know if I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a 2-footed tackle like that in years. I mean, I remember seeing David Beckham, I think, do one like that.
They make a reference to that too.
What's that?
I think they made a reference. The commentators have made a reference to that. And
did they?
Yes, I can't remember. I can't remember which one said it, but they were like, "Oh, you had to go and bring that up again, didn't you?" I can't remember.
That's the only one I could think of. I didn't actually watch the game. I've only seen bits and snippets from the highlights. Yeah, so I haven't really actually sat down and watched. I'm actually planning on doing it maybe a little bit. So it's a good. That's funny though.
Yeah, I mean, the match was a good match as far as physicality goes again, and the flow of the match was extremely fast paced, and it had a good. It had a good vibe, is what I'm trying to say. The vibe was right with this match, but was also
the vibe check.
Yeah, essentially. But it was so broken up by the VAR checks, and it just was painful to watch these breaks in time in play, because VAR had to make sure that they were right, or what the call was on the field was right, and I think the Romero one was absolutely correct. The fact that they had to go back, give the offsides call on Nicholas Jackson because he was impeding the vision of the goalkeeper. Correct call. Mm-hmm. The Christian Romero slide tackle, well, it's not even a slide tackle, it's more like break your shins tackle, was a correct call, and then rewarding the pen was a good call. I didn't watch the entire match entirely as well. I got to like the Undagi double red card and the double yellow, excuse me. It was fun to watch Ange try to, I don't want to say struggle, but to mitigate the damage with such a high line. It was really fun. It was literally 7 players on the halfway
I
line. It was such an incredible match to watch.
and what baffles me is the people that are supporting and acknowledging what he did and saying, "Oh, it's so brave," and you know, what the hell are they talking about? That dude literally sat himself to fail right then and there. Like, you have Chelsea can do one thing. What's that one thing? They can get in behind, right? That's the
Yep.
one thing they can do. How in the hell, when you're down to 9 men, set your men up like that, knowing that Chelsea are successful at one thing, and you just allowed them to do it pretty much all game, the second half? That's one of
Yeah.
the dumbest tactics I've ever seen. It was one of the dumbest decisions a manager has done in the Premier League this season, especially when they're down by 9 men. He literally had, and I can't believe I'm saying this, he literally had the textbook of how to defend down to 9 men in that stadium a month before when they were playing Liverpool. And Liverpool were down to nine
Yeah.
men. He had
Yep.
the example was set right there. If it wasn't for a fluke own goal, which was top shelf by Joel Matip, I mean, you're looking at quite possibly one of the better, 9 men defending you've ever seen in the Premier League for the most part. And the funny thing is, they created chances from the way they defended. They had 2 or 3 chances in the second half. So I'm not gonna sit and congratulate and kiss the ass basically of Postecoglou for setting his team up to fail, especially when you have both center backs out of the game. It's idiotic, absolutely idiotic. So I don't know what people are seeing from that. I don't understand how you can back a guy that does something like that and basically screw his team over. And now, guess what? You're without Romero for 3 matches. You're probably without Van de Ven for like 6 weeks with the hamstring injury. Madison could be out for a little bit.
Yep. At minimum, Van de Ven, because he needed help off the field. Like, he couldn't move his leg. That's how bad it was, and I'm pretty sure he tore his hamstring, which I would assume is probably going to be a 2-month, 3-month process to get back on the field. It's not great when you have to reattach a tendon back to your bone. So I can't imagine he's going to be on the field anytime soon, which is too bad because I really like him and he's a good player for that system. I have to agree with you. I think Ange was overplaying his hand in this particular match, and he was trying to compress. And he never changed his game plan when he went down to 9 men. I think he would have been okay with it if he was still with 10 men and being able to press up that high and try to create a quick turnover to get another goal and then try to set back. But once you go down to 9 men, you need to low block it. And what I mean by low block it for new people is you sit in your own 18-yard box and you invite pressure and you hope for a counterattack afterwards. And he just was very stubborn in his way of game planning at that point to try to do anything else, which is kind of poor on his part.
The decisions he made with keeping certain guys on the pitch and taking certain guys off at times, even though he did have some injuries. How do you keep Destiny Udogie on the field? How do you do that? You saw his challenge. He's literally, he's waiting for another card, basically. You know what's coming at some point. I thought that was a pretty dumb decision to put him on there. I thought not switching to a clear back 5, play probably a back, maybe even a back 4, going 4-4 or 4-4-1 at one point, and then obviously taking the other man out, switching it up a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know what his tactics were. I don't know what he was thinking. And honestly, I will say it's probably one of the dumbest things I've seen a manager do when his team is down. A man, at least a man, maybe 2. So
I will say that obviously the manager tries to assess what's going on, and that's down to him. The tactics are down to him and how he wants players to set up. I also think that the Spurs players were kind of playing out of their it's not even out of their element. I felt like they took a lot of what the crowd was feeding them and they didn't use it in a productive manner. And I thought
The game was too big.
they were too fired up. They were reckless in their tackles. They tried to play very much. It almost seemed like quicker than what they were trying to play, and at some points it worked out well for them. But the players were not in control of themselves for this entire match, and obviously it shows because there was 2 red cards in this match, and they went down to 10 men. So Ange can only do so much as far as keeping his players on the pitch, and obviously 2 injuries happened, so he can't control that either. It's kind of a give and take. So either he needs to tell his players to calm the F down or feed into it and be productive about it. You can't feed into it and be chaotic about it. And that's what they were. It was just chaos on the field. In fact, if you love chaos, this match is chaos. It was pure chaos.
That's true. I agree with you.
I don't know. Again, to circle this back, VAR has been a tool. Don't get me wrong. It has been a tool that has been used, from my eyes, at least more than 60% of the time that's been right.
It's the people, not the technology. It's the people, not the technology. I've always said that. The technology's not wrong. It's the people who using it.
Exactly. And we're coming to a point where, yeah, it's still human error, no matter what way you look at it. Whether we have VAR and it's human error, or we don't have VAR and it's still human error. There really hasn't been a benefit to VAR after how many years? It's been almost 6-7 years, right? Something crazy like that. And
in the Prem, I think it's only been 4.
Has it been?
It was the
only
2020 1920 season was the first one. Yeah.
Goodness gracious! Why it feels like 7, but even in we'll say 4 years, it really hasn't gotten any better. It's only gotten worse with how they're managing, how VAR is being implicated in these matches, and the refs are. And Rhett has said this. I believe he said this anyway, but I don't want to throw him under the bus or under a line if he hasn't said what I'm about to say. These people they don't know how to use VAR properly. They don't know how to draw lines. They don't know how to look at a screen properly. They don't know how to use these computers properly.
The quick and easy fix. The quick and easy fix is immediately like you need a separate entity. It can't be these referees working with the technology. You need a separate entity to do this and to make the decisions. So I think that's the one thing you need: separate entity. No more refs learning how to do this. I want people that work with the technology use it.
Personally, I want VAR to be taken over by an AI. An AI can't lie. No, I'm serious. AI can't lie. It's gonna give you.
They find a way to program AI into getting all the calls for City, though. You damn well know that.
It'd be like Chat GPT. It'd be Saudi GPT.
UAE GPT.
Jesus. No, but honestly, I think if they can find a form of AI that could possibly not be corrupted by it, blah blah blah, it'll take the heat off of the refs, because then they can't get it wrong now. It's down to a computer program. It's out of their hands. They can literally just look at it and be like, okay, this is what we're told. We're told to look at this. But then even at that rate, this is the problem again. We get to the point where we want the on-field official to make heads or tails of the VAR. You know what I mean? Like the VAR is there for suggestions. The on-field official still needs to make the call, whether it's right or wrong. You know what I mean? So even at that rate, I can't put AI systems for people who still have to make a human element to this game.
The more they
I
can
don't know what
take
to
out of
do.
the humans, the better. That's the way it's got to be. The easier you can make it to make a decision.
I'm just
Hey,
done
don't
with
break
it.
the keyboard this week. You can't break the keyboard this week.
That is true. I have to
You
look
did that
for
last week.
keycaps now. I did. I broke my period. Oh no, I broke my space bar. I actually broke my period button 3 days later too. So I have been upset apparently.
Imagine that you've never finished a sentence. Like you're writing something, you can't finish a sentence.
Yeah. Ah, dang! It's just one giant run-on sentence. Why are there so many commas in your work?
There are exclamation points.
You're so excited. Oh goodness gracious! All right. I don't know what else we want to talk about. What else do we have to talk about?
I can give you a little bit on Liverpool if you want.
You know what? Looking at the time, I got to bounce at Art in a few minutes here. So I think maybe we should just wrap this up. I think it'd be a good stopping point right now. Personally, we'll post our predictions later on in the week, and I'll try to be more diligent posting it before Saturday, not on Saturday. Usually I'll wake up and be like, oh crap, I need to post these predictions real quick. And it's not even really hard. It's just screenshots and I just need to do it. But it's the just doing it part, Nike. Hey, Nike, if you want to sponsor us, we're just trying to do it, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nike.
Phil Knight, hear us out. I do the same thing, man. I'd be like, where's right. Anyway. Yeah, so this has been another episode and an electric episode of Swinging at Shins. If you've liked what you heard, and I know you did, please check us out. We're on Spotify, YouTube. We're on pretty much anywhere.
Aaron, this episode's going to VAR. Hang on, we got to check VAR.
We're going to go to VAR. Check VAR to make sure that's proper?
Check VAR, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
please.
No, this episode has been ruled offside, so.
Damn it. All right, well, I'm going to have to scrap this, guys. Sorry. I think we're on iHeartRadio. We're on Apple Music or Apple Podcast, not TV. I wish we were on Apple TV. That'd be pretty cool.
Future Apple TV. If you hear us.
Future.
I'll dress like Ted Lasso if I have to every episode. I don't care.
Oh, really? Nice. I think you should too. All right, cool. You better do it next episode.
Whoa, you'll see.
Oh, no, we're not going to hope. We're going to want. Manifest it.
Deal.
All right, guys. Again, like, follow, subscribe, please. We love your engagement. Comment if you like. Do everything. Do everything with us. We love you. Adios, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Links for anything that you could be interested in, whether it's the YouTube channel, our podcast links, our social media links, everything's in the description below. Thank you very much for listening.